Let's talk about prototyping for beginners. Prototypes are early models of designs. They are clickable and they let you see what the end product might look like. So let's start with this quick design I already have in place. Think back and visualize the time you've had to navigate a mobile app for the first time. You probably went through some processes before getting to the onboarding stage. That first screen you saw is what's called the splash screen, which is what we have here. The splash screen is usually filled with the company's logo or a short animation. It depends on the organization's preference. The next screen you'd see would be the onboarding screen. This is usually a single screen or a couple of screens displaying the key features of the platform. This is also where you get the sign up or sign in call to action button. The last screen you see on the onboarding stage is usually the login screen or the sign up screen. When the onboarding process is done, the next page you see is the authentication page. This page directs you to input a code sent to your email address or your phone number. You'll get a welcome message after that and you'll be directed to the platform's homepage. You know what? Let's turn this code input into a component together. I'll go ahead and click the box and the little text. Press Shift and A to add auto layout to them. Click that frame and the continue button, then press Shift and A to add auto layout to them in general. I'll duplicate this and drag it out of the frame to create my component element with it. The next thing I'll do is create an empty state for the input boxes. I'll go ahead and delete the filled box and duplicate one of the empty boxes to complete 4. When this is done, I'll try to fill each box with their different inputs. We have 4 boxes. When all the boxes are filled, the color of the call to action button will change to the primary color of the design. After that, I'll select all our framed elements, click Figma's component button and click create component set. Now we have 5 variants. Let's prototype our component. We're going to link each empty box from frame 1 to the filled boxes. This is all about dragging wires. The first thing to do is go to the right hand side and switch from design to prototype. You will notice a node on each element. This is what you drag and drop to your destination screen. You will immediately get different options to pick from. You pick an option that suits your design requirements. It's simple actually. Do you want the user to tap on the correct element to go to the destination screen, or you want them to drag? It all depends on your design requirements. When that is done, you get another option to pick from, where you pick how you want the previous action you selected to be implemented. Do you want the element to change to the destination frame, or you want it to navigate to it, or you want it to appear as an overlay? These are different options you need to explore and play around with to get a better hang of it. For this component set, we'll be going with change to. Now let's go back to our main design and start prototyping. For this splash screen, we don't really want any interaction to happen, but we also want it to link to the next screen. So the option we'll be going with is after delay. Instead of selecting tap, we'll select after delay. You get the time duration you can edit to test. The default is usually 800 milliseconds. Like I mentioned earlier, prototyping is filled with different options you need to explore on your own. Now to the onboarding screen displaying the platform features. We have a next button and a skip button. This is majorly for platform displaying their features with multiple screens. The next button goes to the next feature display screen, while the skip goes to the last on the list, which is usually the feature display screen that has a sign up and a sign in button. Remember, we selected 2 options during our components prototype. There's a third option, and this option is for how you want those 2 options to be implemented. You have instant, you have dissolve, you have smart animate, you have sliding, you have moving, you have different options. Just play around with everything and pick the one that works best for your design. Let's stick to instance for now. Since the onboarding is done, let's move to the authentication screen. See that back arrow at the top? There are 2 ways we can actually prototype this. You can either decide to drag it back to the previous screen or use Figma's back option. This is usually displayed on the right hand side and it automatically takes it back to the previous screen. Let's prototype the component with the active button and bring our component to the design. We'll be linking this to the welcome message, but it's going to appear as an overlay. This means we want the 2 screens to overlap. We don't want the new one to appear as a screen on its own. There are also different options here. How do you want the overlay to be placed? Do you want it to be centered? Do you want it to be bottom centered, top right corner, left right corner? You have different options to select from. You also have manual. This means you can direct it to a particular position you want it to be at. You also have 2 checkboxes you can incorporate in your design, which is the add background option and also close when clicking outside option. Again, this is something you can play with and figure out what works best for your design. Let's bring in our component. You can find it under assets, which is on the left side of the screen. All we need to do is basically drag and drop and our component is good to go. We're almost done actually. Let's prototype the welcome screen. You probably guessed it, and yes, we'll be using after delay for this too. After a certain time, we want this welcome overlay to navigate to the home page. Let's play around with the time and see what works best for this design. We'll also be doing the same for the splash screen. Let's preview to see what we've got. We'll be doing some adjustments to the time and also change it from instant to smart animate. Don't forget to play around with these options to see what works for you. Before we preview our design, let's do a final touch to the welcome message overlay. We need to adjust the time a bit. So we'll be changing from 1.5 milliseconds to 2.5 milliseconds, and we'll be changing from instant to smart animate. Now let's go to our design and preview it. The splash screen and the button screen has a smooth transition. All the button works. The sign up button is effective. The code input component looks perfect and effective. Looks like we did a good job actually. The continue button is active when it should. The welcome message has a nice background and the transition to home page looks good. Prototyping is fun and it's actually one of the things I enjoy doing the most. Give prototyping a chance today. Explore the options and come give me your feedback. Bye.